Protesters in Sri Lanka, they've decided that they've had enough. After weeks of protests on the streets, protesters have reached the gates of Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's office in Colombo. Around 24 tents have been erected in a small but growing camp outside the Secretariat and is fast becoming a focal point of the nationwide protests. Now chants "Go Home Gota" can be heard throughout the protest site. And WION's correspondent Sri Lanka brought us this report. Let's listen in.
What was once named as the agitation site of Colombo has now been renamed as Gota Gogama, which loosely translates to Gota Go Village, by the youth of Sri Lanka, as Sri Lanka now continues days on end of protests against the Rajapaksa-led government near the premises of the Presidential Secretariat here in Colombo. The youth of Sri Lanka are frustrated, and to put it quite simply, they've had enough with this government after mismanaging the Sri Lankan economy to its worst possible financial and economic crisis since independence. The youth of Sri Lanka have been camping out in this vicinity for days, braving the weather and the harshest of rains to make sure that their voice and demands are heard, where they want the leaders and this government, led by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, to simply step down and to hand over power to a more competent authority, as the country is desperately looking for solutions to come out of a worsening economic crisis.
Even though I earn, it's not enough in Sri Lanka now. People are going through misery, and most of the people are suffering in Sri Lanka. So if we don't get in the street, we can't do anything. It's our own money. We have to stand and we have to fight for it now. It's our time for now.
Now, these protests are a culmination of anger over years of economic mismanagement by the Rajapaksa government and months of pain faced by the people of Sri Lanka. The economic crisis saw the people facing prolonged power cuts and sent prices of food soaring. President Rajapaksa has indicated that he is willing to sit down and engage with the protesters so that they stop their demonstrations. Now, on Tuesday, the Sri Lankan government announced that it was defaulting on all its external debt, amounting to $51 billion. Sri Lanka called the move a last resort after running out of foreign exchange to import essential goods like food and fuel. The country's finance ministry said in a statement that creditors, including foreign government, were free to recapitalize any interest payments or opt for payback in Sri Lankan rupees. The finance minister said that this decision was an emergency measure taken purely to prevent the country's economic crisis from worsening further. Estimates show that Sri Lanka needed $7 billion to service the debt this year, but only had $1.9 billion in reserves at the end of March. Sri Lanka's leader of opposition has also indicated that his party will move a no-confidence motion against the president. And once again, WION correspondent Sri Lanka has gotten us all the updates. Let's listen in.
While majority of Sri Lankans will be stepping into the Sinhala and Tamil New Year tomorrow, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa today expressed his interest to engage in conversation with the citizens, especially the youth protesters that are currently staging protests for the 5th consecutive day opposite the Goalface Green near the Presidential Secretariat. Also, Sri Lanka's main opposition party and opposition leader Sajith Premadasa today confirmed that they will in fact be signing a no-confidence motion as well as a move to impeach President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, which gives us some indication that when Parliament resumes on the 19th of April, the opposition will be looking to push through with a no-confidence vote against President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Stay with WION World is One for the very latest. Reporting from Colombo, I'm Sri Lanka.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.